Science fiction is one of the core video game genres, and of the myriad sci-fi subgenres, dystopian post-apocalyptic ruined future, or as I call it, dispo-apo-rufu, is one of its more well-worn settings. Is that because video games are the perfect medium for indulging the escapist fantasy of what happens when society collapses and the rules no longer apply? Or is it the fact that meditations on the end of all things reveal our deepest obsessions and fears as a people, resulting in a more widely resonant experience and therefore higher sales?
Just to keep from damaging the board's bottom line.
Well, it's both of these reasons and more, but let's focus on the deepest fears and desires one. Hey, maybe we could data mine your neural impulses for sale to advertisers. Maybe we already did that. Maybe I've said too much. Number 1, nature fail. One of the first experiences many gamers had with the concept of a natural disaster was in a little game called Sim City. And while it's not post-apocalyptic, there was something uniquely frustrating about building a perfect little world only to have a tornado level the stadium and gridlock traffic across half the map. Because it wasn't our fault. It was random, and as history tells us, random catastrophes happen from time to time. Asteroids, supervolcanoes, the Haber-Bosch process increasing the Earth's carrying capacity for humans by fixing nitrogen to yield ammonia-rich fertilizers, but emitting so much CO2 that global emissions cannot be reduced without a bunch of people starving to death. Godzilla was one. He was in there. And a natural disaster post-apocalypse is nice because it implies a philosophically blank slate. It's not your fault a pandemic turned everyone into zombies. You didn't ask for beached things to breach the liminal space between life and death. From the Red Plague to Timefall, humans have always been tiny playthings in the face of vast natural forces. Games like Death Stranding, Nier, and Last of Us remind us that we're just ants, and let us get to the busy, satisfying work of rebuilding. World glitching out on you? Reset the game, baby! Number 2, military fail. War. War rarely metamorphoses. A warlike nature has been with us from the beginning, and video games are far from the first medium to explore the idea that we'll probably eventually just blow each other the hell up. Military force can certainly be applied for good.
I was especially proud of that one.
But it's natural to be fascinated by the idea of what would happen if everyone fired everything at everyone all at once. War parables overlap with natural disaster stories, but here the guilt is clear, though diffuse. It was our fault, but not like our fault. You know what I mean? Not the player's fault. No. The big, ugly, stupid mass of other people that make up mankind clearly can't be trusted with nuclear weapons. Post-war apocalypse games tend to have a somber, sarcastic tone, an empty, meditative feel, and plenty of leftover weapons lying around with which to honor the ways of your forebears. It's not a reset, but a true shutdown, and you get to be there to see the lights go off and write mankind's epitaph. Serves us right, other people. Number 3, technological fail. Whether they depict a society crumbling outright or changing form so radically that it's essentially unrecognizable, post-apocalyptic and near-apocalyptic tales that meld flesh and circuitry are surprisingly common in gaming, especially if you count adorable animal flesh and include every Sonic the Hedgehog game. Cyberpunk, transhumanism, the singularity, whatever you want to call it, a massive glitch to the system turning our own devices against us is a fear that points directly to what separates us from most animals: tool usage. At this point in human history, every single one of us is radically dependent on multiple pieces of technology that we could not build ourselves. Go ahead, make a flush toilet, I'll wait. Games like Deus Ex, Shadowrun, and Horizon Zero Dawn help us explore the relationship to the tools that we use to control our world, and which in turn shape how we function. What can go wrong, how tech can change us. Change presents new opportunities. If it didn't, change wouldn't be the main thing that humans do. But change is also inherently risky, and therefore frightening. So in most games of this ilk, you're gonna be fighting some evil, out-of-control robots or AIs, which makes sense. But I think that inherent duality in our reaction to change is also why so many of these games feature metahumans with fabulous cybernetic enhancements being treated like second-class citizens by the normals.
Not gonna go all wonky on us now, Hansa, are ya?
If I do, McCready, I guarantee you'll never see it coming.
Number 4, government fail. Ah, the government. The avatar of rules, society itself, and, as has been pointed out before, Kafka! Get it? I coughed to say Kafka. The trial? Forget it. As has been pointed out before, there's a sinister quality to the thousands of mundane and anonymous interactions happening off camera that form the basis of so much of our lives. Tickets, fines, reimbursements, taxes, courts, roads, laws, and loopholes. Ratchet the negative aspect of all of these things to the maximum, and you've got the fascist takeover scenario. A very Western story about how Americans and some European allies are fundamentally independent cowboy types, and the founding fathers were godlike in their infinite wisdom, and then we killed Hitler. Hooray! In the same way that nuclear holocaust games can be artistically traced back to the Manhattan Project and movies like War Games and Dr. Strangelove, games like Wolfenstein, Mirror's Edge, and BioShock Infinite borrow heavily from the visual iconography of the fascist regimes of the 1930s and 40s that America helped topple. And it's the kind of triumph you don't let slip from your pop culture zeitgeist easily, even if Russia was really mostly responsible for the win. Tales of fighting fascist stormtroopers with your furious future fists are the stories that we tell ourselves to ritually reinforce our shared belief in the value of democracy, personal liberty, individuality, and independence.
Peace, freedom, and bacon and eggs.
The traits American culture tells Americans are most American. You know, AAA games.
The rules of engagement have changed. Shock and awe.
Good thing there's no more Nazis, though. Huh? Those guys are all gone. We parkoured them out of here. Whew. Flipped right over their hate. Number 5, corporate fail.
Come to Halcyon, the only colony on the edge of the frontier, owned and operated by corporations.
Yes, in the end, if we aren't destroyed by our own government, our technological hubris, a nuclear winter, or cosmic disaster, surely we will choke to death on ads. There's something uniquely cynical and fatalistic about games like Outer Worlds and Sunset Overdrive. Products you can buy with money to experience a story about how money ruins everything and one day corporations will overtake governments and enslave us all. Brought to you by Monster Energy Drink, part of the Sony lifestyle. I think one reason we're currently enthralled by this very specific story is that it's philosophically intractable. A less asshole-ish way to say that would be, I got paid to write this video.
You've tried the best, now try the rest. Spacer's choice.
And I'm fine with that because I need money to buy food to live, a system that I was born into and had no hand in crafting. But to generate my food money, you have to watch ads before this video, which the advertisers hope will make you trade your food money with them for products that they give slightly less food money to other people to produce.
Seems perfect. But what if it's not?
And in a technologically advanced country where people can have jobs like video games journalists and absolutely no idea how to farm or hunt, it's natural to wonder if somehow this commerce business won't come back to bite us on the ass.
Do you know what to do about it, Grandpa? Not yet, young man.
I mean, yes, people who post, "You hate society and yet you live in one," are trolling. But their question is valid in our modern Chick-fil-A world. And it's a question that video games as a medium give us the time and space to contemplate. So, I don't know, was that anything? Why do you love post-apocalyptic games? What do you think these stories have in common that we find so universally appealing? Let's hash it out in the comments section. And remember, these are just my own personal thoughts, so if you poke holes in my logic, I will cry. I will come to your house and I will straight up cry.